Alright, quick recap of today because I took longs and I really was just on the complete opposite side of the market. Since I've been learning about these order blocks, I was just like, oh, well, we're in a down close candle and it's the 7 New York session, so I figured I'd take a long. But now this is really how I should have read it, and I took one loss and then I took another loss and then I stopped after the two losses and then I realized what was going on. So I'm glad that I stopped after two losses. I'm glad that one of them was break even, and glad that I also was able to interpret what it was expressing after the fact. So usually when we're in a daily equilibrium, I know that we were bullish because we were in this weekly OT. I know we're on the daily chart, but we were in this weekly OT, and we were in these weekly order bullish order blocks right here, and we were sweeping this monthly low right here. So monthly, show you the low, monthly low. We swept this low right here. Zoom in, it's glitchy, but yeah, monthly low. Switch it to a weekly. All right, OTE, sweeping lows. Actually, the weekly order block starts here. So came into a weekly order block, and then come over to the daily. We even shifted bullish on the daily right here. So BOS. So I'm thinking, alright, I'm in like a longs mindset or whatever. But at equilibrium, especially equilibrium with an imbalance, what do we got tendencies for? Bearish tendencies, because it's retracing to equilibrium. Now it's probably going to want to retrace down or something. So I should have been, for one, realizing that we were in EQ, and I think I did. So I should have been more open to it being bearish. Then we come over to the 4 hour. So look, we hit this daily fair value gap in OTE, and then what do we do at the daily fair value gap in OTE? We close under this low right here, meaning that we were bearish on the 4 hour. That's the money time frame, Like for these quick shit, that's the time frame, And so put the breaker structure. And then did we ever close over a high after we closed under this low? Now we pulled into this down closed and we reversed off of this. So I could have been like, all right, Anywho, we pulled into this and then we retraced back up to equilibrium of this range. So same thing that we saw on the weekly. We pulled into the weekly order block and pulled up to equilibrium on the daily. That's what's happening right now. We're at that equilibrium. This is basically a fractal interpretation of what's happening. We swept this 4 hour order block though, and then we should pull back up to equilibrium of this range. So look, we pull back into equilibrium, right? And then we pull up into this fair value gap right here on the 4 hour, Same thing. So what do you think's gonna happen at equilibrium in a fair value gap? Probably a retracement. And look at this, This doesn't close over any highs. This doesn't close under any more lows. This closes over this candle's high right here. But is that the high? Technically, one could interpret that as a bullish shift, maybe. But look at this wick right here. This wick is way higher. This is the high right here. Did we close over that? No. So, we never officially closed over a high unless you count this as a bullish structure shift, which I don't think it is. Then we retrace down here. We come up off of these order blocks. I'm thinking, all right, we got long sentiment then. But then we pull back up into this up close candle. And then we can redefine that on the 1 hour. And then you can see London pulled up into this 1 hour London order block. And so that's added more bearish sentiment. We just came off of this imbalance. And then what do we got here? We also closed pretty hefty under these lows right here on the 1 hour. And then did we close over any highs? Did we close back up right here over these highs? So I'm thinking, all right, this is where I got confused. I was thinking since it was 7 o'clock and we were pulling into this under this 1 hour order block, I was thinking 5-minute market structure shift. All right, pull back, take off. What I should have been paying attention to is let's clear these charts up a little bit. What I should have been paying attention to was we pulled off of this 1 hour order block during London session, and then we had a 5-minute break of structure right here. So really, we were in bearish flow, like heavy, and this pulled back to equilibrium, probably did a 1-minute inverse, and then took out the London lows, and then we retraced after taking out the London, and then we went to go take out the Asia. This is what I didn't notice. Switch to a 15. This is OTE, and this is a series of up close candles right here. So I should have been like, oh shoot. So look, we pull into here. I'm thinking we're in OTE bullish, sweeping this order block or something. But we're really in OTE bearish, sweeping this order block. And bearish was the overall higher time frame sentiment, is what it was saying, is that we were pretty bearish at the moment. So then you switch over to a 5-minute. What I saw was this breaker structure. I don't know why I keep on pulling out this darn square. What I saw was this breaker structure, and then I didn't see it pull back until equilibrium until we saw this. So I thought that we were making these lows just so when we pulled back into equilibrium, we had some lows to sweep and to carry on. Sometimes it will do that. And yeah, so I saw this as a breakage structure, 5-minute, pull back to equilibrium, and then I took a long, and yeah, obviously it was wrong. So what I should have seen was that we were in a 15-minute OTE coming off of a 1 hour bearish order block after sweeping a 4-hour high in a 4-hour fair value gap with the 4-hour break structure to the downside at being at equilibrium on the daily. How I let all that go over my head, I do not know. So then when we get this 5-minute breaker structure, and then we get this pull back to equilibrium, this is where I should have been taking a short. And it's so when I see the 1-minute inverse, that is where I should be taking the short. When the market's telling me that we're turning around in the turnaround, in the pullback. Now I could have interpreted this as a 1-minute breaker structure because this candle closed under this candle's low and under this candle's low, but it's so sketchy. You can see how this candle opened up and then closed down, and this candle opened up and then closed down, and all it did was just come in here and fill this little imbalance, bounce off this like 1 minute, and then so I would have got stopped out right here. I would have got stopped out, but I shouldn't have even took that because on the 2-minute, I know that TJR's path to profitability, he teaches 5-minute breaker structure, pull back to equilibrium, and then a 1-minute breaker structure to the draw, higher time frame draw. And but I'm mixing in my little rule. I switched this one to a 2-minute just to see if it's cleaner. It's always a live market that's changing. Nothing's ever going to be the same thing. So on the 2-minute, you can see that we didn't get a clean break until right here. And this one closed under here. So you could take your short right at that level as soon as this one closes. And it's about the same on the 1-minute too. I'll just switch over there. Show you it's about the same. And by the time this was happening, I was still thinking about taking longs, but I was paper trading because after 2 losses, I'm done. I'm gonna just paper trade afterwards. And I think I got break even on that one too, but it's a demo anyways. And this is the one though, so we would have got a 1-to-1 right. Here, and then we would have targeted, I would say, this low, because it's in between Asia and London. It's a little bit closer. It hasn't got taken out yet. You can see we took out London right here. This low hasn't got taken out. At the same time, this low is also the exact 450, which is an institutional level, and the next institutional level under that would have had to have been a 20, and we did not make it down to the 20, and that's a 50 right here, so that's the closest institutional level within where these lows are. So that's a pretty smart move. So that would have made this a that would have made this a 1.7 to 1, which is not bad. It's not the worst. I think if I would have held to Asia though, 1.7 to 1 is actually pretty good overall. That's with the 1-to-1 partial. It's not like, if I don't take the 1-to-1, it would have been more than that. But then 356 plus. Yeah, it would have been a 2.148 to 1, but that would have been ideal. But I probably would have just gone off at that 50 level because it's institutional. Maybe I would have whipped out some projections. Who knows how I would have done this if I would have really been able to interpret the fluctuations. But yeah, that was today's trade. I messed up because I really wasn't paying attention for real. And I could have done a better analysis. But at least the trades that I did take were 5-minute breaker structures, were pullbacks to equilibrium, and then were 1-minute inverses. So the entries were completely on point. First one was a loss. I should have entered these a lot faster too. These losses would have been smaller. And I might have even got to break even into a profit if I would have got them stupid entries like I was offered. But I waited for like a second candle here and there and hesitated. But down for the day. Still up for the week. And learn from my lessons. So, my losses. So, it's all cool. Yeah. You gotta pay attention. Like, if we're at equilibrium on a daily, we're at a bearish breaker structure to the downside with no bullish breaker structure to the upside. And then we're pulling into a 1-hour order block right here in London, and then we break to the downside right here under this low, and then just retrace into this order block. You'll see this as a continuation lower. So whatever. Get better over time. I'm not gonna overtrade. I'm not gonna lose, and I'm not gonna waste my time getting high or beating my dick because I took a loss. I'm just gonna learn, adapt, and that's it. All right, shut up.